Hi folks, Dave, the Honest Audiophile. This is the HEAVYS H1H, and these are my Honest Audiophile impressions. So the HEAVYS H1H, these are a very interesting Bluetooth noise canceling wireless over-ear headphone. It is designed by Alex Grell of Sennheiser fame, and it was on Kickstarter for about 2 years. I was one of the first backers, and I was really anticipating hearing the H1H because of its unique driver configuration, and just I don't really have a Bluetooth headphone that I use on a regular basis. So thought I would give these a shot since they were being designed by Alex Grell. So they'll set you back $300 from your bank account, and there are various types of options when you purchase that may vary the price slightly, like whether or not you want a case, if you want different type of cables, lengths of cables, and all that sort of stuff. So there are different options available for purchase. Also, you can purchase removable shells and make it kind of more customizing the way that you want. They have all kinds of unique designs for the outside cups if you feel like doing that as well. Driver configuration is 4 drivers per side. There are 2 lows and mid-range speakers, and then 2 high-frequency tweeters. Frequency response range of 5 Hz to 46 kilohertz. If you're using it Bluetooth, it goes to 5 Hz to 24 kilohertz. They weigh 410 grams, or about 14.4 ounces. Bluetooth version 5.1. They'll do SBC, AAC, aptX Adaptive, LHDC, and several other codecs. Battery life is around 50 hours or so. And it has a noise canceling technology that is high efficiency PNC combined with a mild ANC for lowest levels of perceived disturbance. You can use it in various modes: wired for pure passive. You can use it in Bluetooth passive, or a Bluetooth ANC, or Bluetooth transparent. It does have microphones in it. Use 2 microphone end firing arrays, and it has all the different controls: volume up, volume down, play, pause, next, previous, and take and decline and end phone calls. USB socket can also be used for charging and digital input. So the HEAVYS, they come in this nice little black box. Get a little bit of information on the back side. Nice and plain. Take down the little flap, and it just opens up, and you're greeted by a bunch of paperwork. So you get a user guide, which is actually rather detailed, giving you all the different functionalities and where the buttons lie. You also get a certificate of backers, original backer, and then you get a letter from Alex Grell himself, and then you get some more information. The cables that I got that came with mine that I chose to purchase was a USB-C charging cable. So it is USB-C to USB-C. It's kind of janky and twisted. It is fairly long, about 4 foot long, but wow, this thing doesn't straighten out at all. And then I chose for a 10-foot cable to use it in passive mode. Sorry for the clinking on the desk here. And get it untangled. This also is kind of a janky cable. It's not the straightest. It's a little bit on the stiff side. And it still kind of has a bit of kinks in it. Overall, it's not a bad cable. 2.5 input for the headphone, and then it terminates to a 3.5 90 degree. And then also you get your carrying case. Set this box over here to the side. And so the carrying case is unique. It says HEAVYS and HEAVYS. It's got this odd shape. Opening it up, and you can see that the HEAVYS H1H just fit right in there. It's a very small case. Doesn't take up much room in a bag. It is a little odd shaped, but other than that, It's a nice cable, and it's definitely going to protect your H1H. Speaking of the H1H, they fold up very nicely. Nice and small. And they open with a very nice click. They don't rotate. You just get a little bit of wiggle. But you can fold them either way. Some wiggle room here. You do have a little bit of a spring release type of function on the cups, so they kind of reset. Lots of tension here in the headband. It's a little bit on the stiff side. It's all plastic build. Sliders are metal. They're rather thick and feel durable. It's a hard plastic that feels pretty durable. As I said, it's 410 grams, so it's not the lightest headphone. And then you have ear cups that say heavy. They are removable. I will not show that on camera, as it is extremely hard and it feels like you're going to break them every single time. They do get a little bit of fingerprint grit and grime on the cups, so if you're picky about that, just beware that you'll have to wipe them down quite frequently. Pads are really nice and lush. And on the cup here, it's going to be hard to see, but you can see the tweeter right there. There's the two tweeters on each cup on the front side of it. And then the woofers are down in the cup. So you do have L and R, so you'll know which is which. And overall, I find them to be fairly well built. They feel pretty solid. On the bottom here, you do have your buttons, and it's going to be kind of hard to show on camera as they are a little bit tight fit. So you have your USB-C input here, which also can be used as a digital out. And then you have your Bluetooth on and a pairing mode. You just press it up and hold it in place, and it'll start flashing blue and red for pairing. And you'll get a command on your speakers that say it's Bluetooth on and Bluetooth pairing mode. On the other side, you have three buttons here, which are your play pause button and also volume knob. You just kind of rotate it and you'll go volume up and volume down, which is a very nice touch. And when you get to max volume, you'll get a prompt in voice that'll say max volume. And then you have you tap it for play pause and start phone calls. Double tap it to bring up your services helper, whether that be Siri or your Google Help or anything like that. And then you have a switch here which will turn on the device, and then also will go into ANC mode, or as it's called on the heavies is Hellbreaker mode. And then way over here, that is your headphone input cable. So it's kind of hard to change into transparency mode. Transparency mode is done by pressing the forward and back buttons at the same time. And if you have larger fingers and when it's on your head, it's a little bit hard. I found it was just easier to take them off my head, hit the button, and then pop them on. Trying to do it while I was on the head was a little bit hard. And then the switch to go into ANC mode or Hellbreaker mode is a little stiff and a little hard. And I also found that sometimes I forgot, oh, I gotta go this way instead of the other, and I ended up turning off the headphone and disconnecting, and I had to have reconnect it. Now thankfully it reconnects really easy with Bluetooth, and it remembers all the devices that you have it on and whatever you were streaming on, and it'll just seconds be connected, but it's just kind of a frustration. Comfort. Now these things are, as I said, a little bit stiff here, but over time the clamp force did kind of lessen. It's still a little bit snug, and at 410 grams it's kind of heavy, but for the most part it's a pretty comfortable headphone. I can wear them for several hours. They do get a little hot around the ears, and I do find that they are for the most part comfortable after they've broken in, but it did take several long listening sessions and a little bit of just bending and playing with them for them to kind of loosen up. Noise canceling. Let's talk about this. So The noise canceling of the heavies is interesting. Now, I'm not a huge fan of really intense block out every single noise type of noise canceling. I kind of more like it to be a little bit more subtle and a little bit more gentle. When it's really intense and a very extreme block out every single thing, I kind of get claustrophobic. I get a little disoriented, and it just kind of makes me feel nauseous, and so I don't like that feeling. So having transparency mode helped a lot. Putting them on without even turning noise canceling on, these actually do a really good job of blocking out outside noises out. They're probably somewhere 55, 60, 65% of outside noises being blocked. These things are pretty good for a closed back headphone. They do a really good job of just kind of sealing everything away. But let's turn them on here and let's see if we can get you a little demonstration of the voice that you hear through the heavies.
Power on. HELLBLOCKER activated.
So you kind of get that intense, deep voice with every single prompt that you use, which is kind of cool. But putting them on, when HELLBLOCKER is on, you can definitely tell that noise canceling is happening, and it blocks out a lot of other noises, and you're probably somewhere upwards at 75 to 80% of outside noises being blocked. You can still hear loud things happening around you, but it's not very noticeable. It's just enough to go, oh, did I hear something? And you'll get, kind of get your attention. But for the most part, it blocks it out quite a bit, but it doesn't do as much as some of those more intense noise canceling prominent type of headphones from Bose, Samsung, and Sony. So overall, I really do like the way that it does noise canceling. It gives me just enough of that breathing room. Do not get that nauseated, kind of claustrophobic, oh, I'm in this closed room and I need some space type of feeling that I get with a lot of those other types of noise canceling headphones. And then when you turn them off,
HELLBLOCKER terminated.
It'll tell you when it's power off, power on, HELLBLOCKER off, that type of stuff. So it's kind of cool how it tells you all of that. Can't turn Bluetooth on or else it'll connect to my phone and then we'll have a bunch of issues trying to record. Transparency mode is very interesting on these. So you have HELLBLOCKER on and you turn transparency mode on. It'll bring back probably about 30 to 40% of the noise, and you'll hear everything around you, be able to carry on conversations while everything's still playing in the background. So if you're listening to music, it'll kind of lessen your music, but allow in all the other noises so you can hear cars crossing the street or while you're trying to cross the street, or you can talk to people and things like that, but you don't have to turn your music off. You don't have to take your headphones off. Transparency mode works very well with this. Microphones. The microphones for conversations is okay. I was able to hear everything very well when it came to a conversation, and people sounded the way that they do on other devices. The comments that I got back from people were that it was a little bit on the tin canny side and a little bit cave-ish, but it was still legible, and you're still able to hear and understand what I'm saying. It just wasn't the most clean and clear microphone. Could be the placement of the microphones, or it could just be the quality of the microphone, but it's doable, but probably not the best, especially in noisier environments, and also in windy environments probably wouldn't do as good. But for normal conversations, or maybe like a Skype call or something like that, or some voice chats and things like that, you'll do all right. The heavies are able to be used in all sorts of different types of sources. You can plug it in via the USB-C and use it as a digital input from your source, like your phone or your DAP or your computer, and it works just fine. Had no problems connecting there. Connect the 3.5 cable, works very well that way. In passive mode, you can use noise canceling while connected with a cable. And then Bluetooth, it also did very well. Was I able to hear differences between those various types of use cases? Not really. It pretty much sounded the same with all the different sources, which was nice because normally you can really hear big differences when using Bluetooth and a wired device, or digital and a wired. The differences were very subtle, if there were any. Music sounded great on all of those. Battery life. Battery life, I never killed the H1H. I did charge it up a couple of times while testing, but I never ran the battery out completely. I was easily able to get a week's worth of listening with, 4 or 5 hours of listening a day before I had to charge it. So I was easily able to get about 30, 35 hours, and it wasn't even indicating that it needed to be charged. So battery life will be pretty good. Now, I don't know if it will drain faster if you do like 8-hour listens straight or not. I did not do that type of testing. Did I notice a difference on my phone or my device with battery drain? No, it seemed to be pretty much about the usual for most Bluetooth devices. It seemed to drain about the same efficiency. How do the Heavy's H1H sound? So the Heavy's H1H are geared for metalheads, and they have a sound signature that definitely caters to bassy genres of music. But that doesn't mean it can't play other genres of music well. So the bass of the H1H is heavy. It is a very full sounding, it's very thick sounding, it's very authoritative, it's very powerful, and it has a lot of punch, a lot of slam, a lot of kick, and there's a lot of rumble and grumble in the sub bass. But the amazing thing about it is it's a very well-controlled bass. I was really surprised at how well-controlled the H1H is, and how that it's very detailed and very clean sounding. It's not just a bunch of one-note bass and just a lot of impact and a lot of slam without much of anything else. This actually has a lot of quality to it, and it's a very pleasing bass. You can pick apart bass for a decent amount. I mean, I was rather surprised at how much details it did pull and how well it was resolved. The tone is pretty good, the timbre is nice, and overall it's just a very pleasing and engaging bass while giving you all that drive and all the slam and the punch and everything that you want in the bass when it comes to metal music and hard-hitting rock music and just whatever other types of bassy music that you listen to. It does a really good job of just giving you all that you want and then some, while staying controlled and at the same time kind of showing off a little bit of the hi-fi side of things and going, this is how it really should sound. It was rather pleasing in the bass. The mids have a nice warmth to them and a little bit of a forwardness in the uppers. As if you're a little sensitive to about 2 to 4K elevation, the Heavies could come across as being somewhat shouty. But for me, they did not sound overly shouty. They did sound a little bit enhanced there and a little bit forward. But we're not talking about a reference headphone here, and we're not talking about something that's going to be used in a studio, so it didn't really bother me. It was more of a fun factor and kind of brought the vocals forward and brought the instruments forward and kind of presented them in this energetic and engaging type of way. The tone and timbre of the mids is good, and I really do find them to have kind of a naturalish type of tone and timbre. Detail, retrieval, and resolution, like the bass, is very good. And overall, it's just a very nice and pleasing mid. On some genres of music, it will sound a little bit thin in the lower mid region where it's a little bit V-shaped. But other than that, it's a pretty good little mid section that is fun, but yet at the same time kind of leans a little bit towards that hi-fi side. And you'll get a little bit of that flavor. And you can definitely tell that a Sennheiser or former Sennheiser engineer was involved in the production of these, as it has a kind of a natural forwardness to them. And then the treble. The treble extends out nicely. You have enough air and enough space to keep things kind of open sounding without being stuffy. And then there's nice energy and sparkle, especially in the lower treble regions. And it kind of comes across in a more aggressive way in the lower treble region, but not force-fed, but if you're a little bit sensitive to treble, it may come across as being a little bit hot at times on some genres of music. Overall, the tonality is very nice and the timbre is good. Detail, retrieval, and resolution, just like the mids and the bass, kind of impressed me, and I was surprised at how much that you got. And then everything just has this nice crispness and this edge to it, and there's a little bit of bite to it. And it just really kind of engages you and gives you a lot of energy without being overbearing. So I find that the bass, the mids, and the treble really play very well and good, especially for bassy type of genres of music. Not necessarily just metal music, but rock music and anything in between that has a lot of bass. It does okay with all the other genres of music, but it can sound a little bit funky on some things that are a little bit more vocal forward, especially in the lower mid-range. Soundstage. The soundstage of the HEAVYS H1H is actually rather surprisingly good. I was surprised at how much width you do get with it. Now, we are talking a closed-back headphone here, and it's not anything massively huge, but it is enough to feel comfortable. It's leaning intimate, but it's not stuffy intimate. It's more comfy intimate. Cozy would be another word. It has nice depth and it does a really good job with imaging. You can really track things across the stage and it places things very well, but it is a little bit close. So if you get a little claustrophobic and you don't really like an intimate type of sound signature, the H1H may be a little bit too small for you in this stage. Detail, retrieval, and resolution is good all the way throughout, and I found that it does a good job of bringing forth the track on details and then resolving it very well. And then tone and timbre is naturalish. Some things will sound a little bit digitized and some things will sound a little bit not as natural as they should in real life, but for the most part it's not going to be off-putting and you're not going to be go, ew, that sounds, ew. No, for the most part it sounds pretty accurate and true to the sound of an instrument. The HEAVYS H1H. It's not only for heavy metal music, but it's for all genres of music, but it does specialize in the bassy stuff. And if you are listening on the go to mostly bassy, high energy type of tracks of music, the HEAVYS H1H is really going to be a good noise canceling Bluetooth solution. If you're trying to be critical and you're trying to really dissect music and you listen mostly to like classical music, the H1H may not be quite up your alley, but it makes me happy for my little bit of use of Bluetooth devices and of a bassy headphone. This is kind of my little secret. Brings out my bass lover in me. And yeah, I do listen to some bassy music at times, and every now and then I take a break from jazz and classical music and I'll pop on some bassy music and jam away for a little bit. So the HEAVY H1S, yeah, or H1H, excuse me, it fits that spot. It's been Dave, the Honest Audiophile. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next video. Speaking of next video, somewhere on screen, subscription links and notification bells. If you haven't already, please check those off. Don't forget to give a thumbs up or a thumbs down to the video and check out all the links down below. There's all kinds of information on there regarding how you can contact the channel, follow the channel, support the channel. Speaking of supporting the channel, I want to thank all my supporters through Patreon and YouTube memberships. Thank you very much for all that you provide to the channel. It's much appreciated. I know that it's not easy in these times to take money out of your own personal funds and give to a channel and support them. So I thank you very much for all that you give to the channel. It's much appreciated. If you are interested in supporting the channel, please know that there are various ways that you can do it: through one-time gifts, through PayPal and Venmo, or through monthly subscriptions with Patreon and YouTube memberships. All funds given to the channel do go back into the channel. So if you're interested, please check those out. Also, If you do support the channel, you can gain access to my private Discord server and also to other benefits. So check out the link down below for that. And while you're down there, don't forget to check out all the other links. There's gear recommendations and music recommendations and all kinds of other things. So check out the links down below. And lastly, don't forget to enjoy the music, and that honesty is the best policy.